Welcome to Money Talks, your intel on the Philippine markets and the economy. Sitting in for Cathy Yang, I'm Pauline Verzosa. In the headlines, a lawmaker claims the late DPWH official Maria Catalina Cabral left a complete list of budget insertions for flood control projects. The Agriculture Department extending the ban on sugar importation until December 2026. And the Philippine Economic Zone Authority says more economic zones are set to be proclaimed starting January. A lawmaker says months before her death, former DPWH Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral handed him a list of budget insertions for flood control projects. Batangas 1st District Congressman Leandro Leviste says he obtained the list on September 4th with the blessing of DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon, who took over the agency just 3 days prior. Leviste said he will only release the files if Dizon permits him to. Publicizing the list will implicate not only lawmakers but also cabinet officials who allegedly had a hand in graft-ridden budget insertions. Leviste already showed the list to the ICI in November when he sought an investigation into CWS party list Congressman Edwin Gardiola for allegedly pre-ordering some 22 billion pesos in DPWH projects. The neophyte lawmaker also shared to the big story on Friday why Cabral gave him the information.
Constantly asked for it. And I first came to her office in June when I was newly elected to understand why districts like mine have smaller allocable budgets than smaller districts. I think very needing to be asked question, who decides that one district gets 5 billion and one district gets 1 billion pesos a year?
Well, indeed, it was Cabral who had the sole knowledge of how allocables were being apportioned to every district using her invented parametric formula called BBM, which stands for Baselined, Balanced, and Managed. Cabral's remains are now at Arlington Memorial Chapels in Cubao, Quezon City. Authorities transferred her body to Manila after an autopsy confirmed that it was really Cabral who fell at a ravine in Benguet on Thursday. The Philippine National Police is now coordinating with other agencies to secure all evidence that can be useful for the corruption probe. And while Cabral's criminal liability has been extinguished already, the DOJ has vowed to continue pursuing her assets.
Pamatayan ng isang akusado or posibleng akusado extinguishes criminal liability. Pero batid din naman natin na hindi naman ito nag-extinguish doon sa iba pang posibleng yung civil forfeiture, other civil liability, kaya patuloy pa rin yung paghahabol ng pamahalaan at kailangan lang natin dumaan sa proseso, mapatunayan yung mga ibang posibleng liability.
And in other news, government spending is expected to remain sluggish through the first half of 2026 as the corruption scandal continues to weigh on economic activity. ANZ research said spending is unlikely to rebound until governance issues in public infrastructure projects are resolved, dragging economic growth below target until 2027. The Philippine economy grew by just 4% in the third quarter, its slowest pace in over 4 years after the scandal dampened government outlays and household consumption. As of September, average GDP growth stood at 5%, still below the government's 5.5 to 6.5% target. ANZ said a tighter fiscal stance has disrupted investment and hurt sentiment, with businesses holding back and consumers cutting spending. The think tank now sees growth at 4.8% this year, before gradually picking up to 5% in 2026 and 5.6% in 2027. But if all three projections hold true, the country will miss its growth targets until 2027, or for 5 years in a row. And the Department of Agriculture has extended the ban on sugar importation until December 2026, citing improvements in production. DA Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. says a prolonged import ban is necessary to prioritize locally produced sugar and stabilize the market. He adds that the Sugar Regulatory Administration will step up in monitoring refinery operations to prevent supply distortions and speculative pricing. The DA imposed the ban in October to attract traders into buying local sugar and prop up prices. And as of June 2025, domestic sugar production ticked up to 2.015 million metric tons from 1.922 million metric tons in the previous crop year. Well, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority says more economic zones are set to be proclaimed starting January. PEZA had earlier projected 40 new proclamations by year-end, but Director General Tereso Panga said approvals are now expected to roll out next month after developers met with the executive secretary. Panga said the agency is also targeting 30 new eco-zones in 2026. Since 2022, 35 new and expanded eco-zones have already been proclaimed, mostly in the countryside, as part of efforts to boost regional development. More sites are in the pipeline, including public eco-zones in Bicol and Palawan, as PEZA pushes to open new growth areas to attract investments. Well, as thousands of travelers head home for the holidays, bus terminals are once again seeing a surge in passengers. And joining us this morning is Raul Ecaldre, the marketing manager of Victory Liner. Hey, Raul, thanks for joining us here on Money Talks.
Hi, hello, good morning.
Okay, so tell us, are we already seeing a surge of passengers during the final days before Christmas Day?
Yeah, actually, we started planning for the past few weeks, and we call it Oplan. We started last December 19, last Friday, and we feel the surge of passengers from that time until now. So there are so many passengers already boarding in the terminals.
But
Metro Manila.
how heavy is the passenger traffic so far compared to last year?
Actually, it's the same. In terms of traffic, we have encountering delays in terms of dispatches because of the traffic.
Do you have a number, Raul, of how many passengers have already come through or have booked with Victory Liner?
Well, in terms of numbers, what is the average that we have on a daily basis is around 10 to 15,000 only. But this time it's around 200 to 300,000 bookings every day.
Okay. But have you already seen the peak of this traffic, or are you still expecting the biggest volume ahead of Christmas and New Year?
Yes, we are expecting a more surge of passengers on the 23rd tomorrow. We'll be expecting that until the 24th morning. While on the New Year's Eve, we are expecting around the same volume of passengers from December 26th until December 29th. So the same volume or number of passengers.
So these are assumingly the passengers trying to catch the last trips home to spend the holidays with their families. But the question is, Raul, are there still tickets available or are all trips booked?
Yes, there are. There is. Victory Line is doing our part in terms of sending people or transporting people to their families. So we are inserting more trips. For example, we have 9 a.m. and 9:30. We inserted 9:15 or 9:10 for us to serve more passengers. So that's Victory Liner strategy.
So about how many trips did you add per day, Raul, to accommodate all these additional passengers?
Well, the base trip has actually doubled also. So in terms of numbers, and we are adding as necessary.
Okay, so it depends on the demand. But for travelers without reservations, Raul, can they still walk in? Can they buy tickets at the terminal?
Yeah, we also have this policy, we call it chance passengers. We are lining up passengers like them, and we are actually accommodating them also. That's why we give more trips like extra trip for chance passengers like them.
And which routes would you say are filling up the fastest right now?
There are 4 major routes that actually has volume. Baguio is one, and those people going to Zambales, Olongapo, and to Cagayan Valley, to Gigarao.
And can passengers buy tickets online? I heard that there is a service fee, an additional fee of 50 pesos. Is that still in place?
Yes, that is for the maintenance in terms of the system, the 50 pesos. But let me assure you that if you reserve online, you can actually have your own, or you can be reserve your seats immediately. So there's no problem or hassle for that.
So you recommend booking online in advance to make sure that they've
Yeah.
secured their seats.
Definitely, it would be better to plan ahead and to book online. That would be better.
And what steps has Victory Liner taken, Raul, to ensure the safety of passengers? As you mentioned, you are expecting hundreds more, thousands more to return to their families, return to their provinces. What are some of the safety measures that you've implemented?
Well, we are known for safety. We have been doing some preventive maintenance before dispatching the buses. So every time a bus dispatch, it's mandatory for them to do the preventive maintenance activity. So that's on the bus. On the crew itself, we also have conducted some several tests in terms of health. We actually have glucose test and BP test. So we do that for us to know if the crew or the bus crews are capable of driving or transporting people for safety.
Well, that's very important. Driver's safety as well, right? Because they are the ones transporting all these passengers. The lives of the passengers are in their hands. So will their work hours also be adjusted, controlled?
We are actually working 24 hours, so there's no adjustment. We are serving 24 hours. Same with our support in terms of maintenance. There are actually ready a team that could actually provide service immediately. There are unwanted cases that will happen. We also have rescued buses in between routes. We call it line. We have those for us to ensure the seamless transportation service that we can provide.
Okay, here's a question, Raul. For those passengers traveling with pets, are they allowed to bring their fur babies, their precious pets on board?
Yes, actually we have this policy and we followed and we are abiding the LTFRB guidelines in terms of that. But we have these schedules, we set schedules for them. So passengers would know what time and date should they book in terms of bringing their fur babies like that.
So there are only specific trips for
Yes,
those
yes.
traveling with
It
pets.
is. Yes.
What trip is that? And some of the guidelines maybe you could share already so that they can prepare them in advance, Raul.
Okay. The first one, the rule is the pet should be small to medium, that's the size, and should be put in a carriage or a cage, which is either soft or hard cage. The head of the pet should be inside the cage for safety purposes. The passenger should pay equivalent to the passenger's fee. So also the pet should wear diaper for cleanliness.
I see. Okay, well, those are reminders for all the fur parents, for those with pets. But finally, just our last question, Raul, what's a hotline for passengers with questions? Just like one question that was just thrown in. Can passengers book tickets online anymore on the day itself? Parang may ganung complication eh, no? So does that mean they have to book them a day before online? And if it's the day already itself, they can only book at the terminals itself?
Correct. So the policy or the system that we set is the passengers can book 24 hours ahead. So they cannot actually book on the day itself if that is online booking.
All right, well, for
For
more...
us to actually ensure the fleets that can be used in terms of that.
Oh, I see. All right, but what's a hotline? Or where can people send in their questions if they have any?
Yeah, we have this call center. You can call us at 8842-8679. This is our number. So you can call that number. And also we have this mobile number, 0998-591-5102. You can call the numbers. You can Viber or you can call that number.
All right, well, safe travels to all your passengers there at Victory Liner. But for now, thank you very much for sharing all those updates. That was Raul Ecaldre, Marketing Manager of Victory Liner. Well, you're still watching Money Talks here on One News. Coming up, the country's balance of payments deficit narrowed in November. And we speak to another newsmaker on the surge of travelers for the holidays. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back to Money Talks. The country's balance of payments deficit sharply narrowed in November amid higher remittance inflows during the holiday season. Preliminary data from the Bangko Sentral showed the BOP deficit stood at $225 million in November, a steep improvement from the more than $2 billion gap a year ago. A month-on-month, the position slipped into a deficit from October's $706 million surplus, making the first shortfall in 4 months. Economists say the deficit was driven by stronger import demand ahead of the holidays, along with debt payments and portfolio outflows. Still, they stressed this does not signal a structural shift, with remittances and services exports continuing to support the country's external position. Well, U.S. markets rose last Friday despite the jobs and inflation reports providing little clarity on the state of the economy. The Nasdaq jumped by 1.3%. The S&P 500 climbed by 0.1%, and the Dow advanced by 0.33%. Investors are pinning their hopes on a Santa Claus rally or a rise in stock prices during the last 5 trading days in December to push markets to new highs by year-end. Benchmark 10-year Treasury yields and U.S. gold prices went virtually unchanged, with 10-year yields sticking up to 4.15% and gold prices rising to $4,361 per ounce. U.S. futures point to gains when the markets open later tonight, Manila time. The Nasdaq rises by 0.4%, the S&P 500 jumps by 0.25%, and the Dow advances by 0.1%. Asian markets rise this Monday as China's central bank kept its 1-year and 5-year loan prime rates unchanged. South Korea's Kospi and Japan's Nikkei 225 climbed by nearly 2%, while Australia's ASX 200 jumped by nearly 1%. Now let's take a quick check on the Philippine markets at the onset of the shortened trading week. The PSEI opens this Monday higher by 0.5% at 5,951.74. The stock market sank by nearly 2% last Friday due to profit-taking and weakening business sentiment brought about by the corruption scandal. Investors are expected to maintain their cautious stance as they wait for a catalyst to provide the holiday cheer. As for the Philippine peso, it opened today flat at 58.70 to the dollar. Traders are forecasting the local unit to stay within the 58 peso level this week due to the seasonal increase in OFW remittances. And 10-year government bond yields ticked down to 5.979% from the previous close of 6.030%. We'll be taking a short break here on Money Talks. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Money Talks here on One News. Now, as questions continue to surround the death of former DPWH Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral, investigators have returned to the scene of the incident. News 5 has also obtained exclusive accounts from a resident who saw Cabral and her driver shortly before the incident. Here's that report.
Days after the death of former DPWH Undersecretary Catalina Cabral, the PNP Forensic Group returned to the ravine along Quezon Road in Camp 4 Tuba, Benguet, where Cabral fell. Here, authorities conducted a reenactment showing how the former DPWH official was found. Investigators also closely examined the markings on the spot along the roadside, where Cabral had been sitting prior to the incident. News 5 exclusively spoke with resident Rose Paswich. She recalled that before the incident, Cabral and her driver were seen sitting by the roadside past 8:30 in the morning.
May taong dalawa na babae at saka lalaki na ewan ko kung anong ginagawa doon, nagse-selfie siguro o ano. Nung i-scan ko yung mga Facebook, yun naman, yung damit.
Alam niyo po na
Oo, yun. So,
Rose added that the former official's stop caused inconvenience to motorists passing through the area.
pag dito sa Quezon, pag sa alanganing lugar sila nagpaparada, kung inaano ko, huwag dito kasi baka mahulugan pa kayo ng mga bato, ganun.
A selfie taken by Cabral's driver while they were by the roadside surfaced online on Saturday. According to the Department of Interior and Local Government, the photo is legitimate and was retrieved from the driver's cell phone. The autopsy report on the remains of Cabral has also been released. According to the Cordillera Police Public Information Office, the cause of death was blunt traumatic injury resulting from a fall. Recall that earlier, Cabral's husband was initially opposed to an autopsy, but was eventually convinced by the Benguet police and Soco to proceed. According to Tranquil Funeral, which retrieved Cabral's remains, there was no visible damage to her face, although fractures were found on her body. They said the body was immediately identified through her driver and photos circulating on social media. Cabral was reportedly wearing pants, a pink blouse, and flip-flop sneakers. They added that no cell phone or personal belongings were found on her body when she retrieved from the ravine. No specimens were taken from Cabral's body for DNA analysis. The hotel where Cabral and her driver reportedly stayed has declined to release information, citing the Data Privacy Act. However, the hotel said it is fully cooperating with the ongoing investigation. DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla told Storycon on Friday that there was no indication of foul play.
Ang lahat ng injuries niya ay consistent with blunt force trauma, yung nahulog siya. Meron siyang sugat sa muka, sa likod ng ulo, bali yung kaliwang kamay, kanan na kamay, tapos bali ang buong kanan na ribs niya, nag-puncture ng kanyang internal organs at bali yung tuhod.
But Remulla has ordered the relief of the Tuba Police Chief and the Benguet Provincial Director over their handling of the case involving the death of former DPWH Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral. He said the officials were relieved after police failed to treat the incident as a crime scene, initially considering it an ordinary suicide.
And before we go, members of the LGBTQ community can ride trains for free today, December 22, as part of the Transportation Department's holiday initiatives. The offer, though, has prompted online discussion with some commuters raising questions on implementation. DOTR Acting Secretary Giovanni Lopez clarified that no proof is required to avail of the free rides, emphasizing that the program is meant to be inclusive and hassle-free. Aside from LGBTQ community members, solo parents may also avail of the free rides today. This is part of the DOTR's 12 Days of Christmas program, which runs until Christmas Day. All right, and that's it for Money Talks this morning. Sitting in for Cathy Yang, I'm Pauline Verzosa. Catch us again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Kapatid, we are one news, all sides, all the time. Have a great day.